Why is recycling so hard, and why do only 9% of plastics actually get recycled? Today, we'll get into it. To talk about what makes recycling plastic so hard, we have to first ask, what was plastic made for? It was made to be durable and indestructible. It was made for a consumer-based, disposable economy. It wasn't made to be recycled, and it wasn't designed to be recycled. This brings me to the first challenge of why recycling is so hard. First thing, it's expensive. This really is the number one issue, and companies don't want to pay the bill. For instance, it's more expensive to recycle a material than it is to just make a new one. To understand this, let's look at the current status quo. Our entire economy is designed around oil production. It's designed to be scaled, cheaper, and larger, making oil-based products fairly cheap. But we haven't designed our economies and our society around recycling, recovery, or regeneration. That doesn't mean that we don't recycle things or try to salvage things. We actually have a lot of places that try to be really efficient about that. But most of the places and things operate in a disposable or consumer-based economy, meaning we throw away more than we recycle, making products cheap, oil-based, and disposable. This brings me to challenge number 2 about why it is so hard to recycle. The math isn't mathing yet. Again, we're talking about money. The reason why recycling is not happening at full capacity is that the equation for using and selling recycled plastics currently isn't profitable. And we're talking about literal cents. Pig, the production assistant, would like to make an appearance today. How you doing today, Pig? Let me give you an example. Say I want to recycle a piece of electronics that's made out of plastic, and that piece has multiple types of plastic on it, all mixed and attached to one another. The first thing I need to do is I need to get it back. I have to recover it, and that costs time and money and transportation, or however I'm gonna get it back. We'll come back to transportation in a minute. And then I have to have the correct machine to recycle it. And these machines are very expensive. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. And then you need the electricity and you need a facility to house that machine. This machine will break down the plastic and hopefully separate it out. And then I'm left with plastic pieces or shreds that someone can use to create new things. Now I have to get a customer for this plastic. So who's gonna buy it and how much are they willing to pay for it? Say it costs me $1 per pound to recycle this plastic, but the price that people are currently willing to pay is 58 cents per pound. And the current price of brand new plastic is 50 cents. Well, it's not a profitable business. It means I'm in the negative and I'm actually losing money creating and selling this recycled plastic. For a business, it makes more sense to throw this plastic in the landfill, which is where 79% of it is already going, to incinerate it, burn it for energy, which is where 12% of it is going, or ship it overseas to a secondary market where someone might pay salvage amounts, or AKA pennies for it, which is part of where that 79% is going. And as a business, I'm probably only gonna focus on the materials that I can make a profit on. Money really does make the world go round. The other thing that makes the world go round is transportation, or logistics and infrastructure. And that brings me to the third challenge, infrastructure, or all the bins, trucks, storage, machines, and people. And again, our infrastructure is really only built for certain types of plastics and only the ones that can make a profit. So you might say, okay, yeah, it's super expensive to recycle, but don't we already have all the machines and it's already possible to recycle? The answer is yes, but not for all plastics. We have that set up for some plastics and not others. Basically, we still have to build it. We have to build a lot of infrastructure. That brings me to the fourth challenge. Not all plastics are created equal. Basically, different plastics can't all be recycled the same way. And our cities and the companies aren't really set up to recycle all plastics. Let's use the example of a plastic bottle versus a skate wheel. A plastic bottle is number 1, PET, or you see those little recycling symbols. A skate wheel is actually a different form of plastic altogether. It's called TPU, or polyurethane, and it's kind of in between plastic and rubber. The PET plastic bottle can simply be melted down and turned into a new thing. If you try to melt the polyurethane, it'll actually just burn and create a lot of toxic gas. Think of putting butter and a pancake on a hot pan. If you put the butter on a hot pan, it's simply just gonna melt. But if you put a pancake on a hot pan, it's gonna burn. And that's basically the same thing that happens with the plastic. So you think, okay, so it's all different. Why can't we just mix it up and use it? That brings me to challenge number 5, refining and adding ingredients. Kind of like cooking. Say you have your flour, your sugar, your eggs, and you wanna bake a cookie, but you still have to bake it and bring everything together to create that cookie. That's the same thing with plastics. For a lot of plastics, once it's recycled, we're left with it in its raw form or just tiny little pieces of plastic. And for some types of plastic, I can't really do anything with it. I have to treat it or refine it chemically, meaning mixing it with different types of chemicals to turn it into something usable or something that I can sell. As a recycler, this would cost me extra money. And a lot of our recycling facilities are not set up to do this extra step. And right now, especially in the US, there isn't anyone to fill that gap. That means we're gonna need a lot of small players, recycling facilities, companies coming in to do those extra steps and hopefully making a profit doing it. That might cause you to ask, so what are our recycling facilities actually set up to do? And just with the plastics that they're recycling right now, they face all sorts of challenges. And that brings me to challenge number 6, which is cleaning and sorting. Waste management companies and recycling companies right now have to sort and clean everything that we throw out. This is a super common problem. A lot of what we throw away is simply just not clean. And if we wanted to clean it, someone would have to clean it, and that would cost time and money. Let's go back to that electronics example. Let's say you threw out a piece of electronic, it's still got the tape on it, it's got dirt and grime, and you throw it out thinking, oh, awesome, I am recycling this and it's going to get reused back into circulation. However, that tape is going to get stuck in the machine, and the plastic grocery bag that you use to throw away the piece of electronics in the recycling bin, it's going to get stuck and it's going to cause the machine to break down. Once it is clean, now that machine has to take this really complex piece of electronics with different pieces of plastic on it, is to shred it all up and then separate it. And again, not all of our machines are designed to recycle all plastics. And then we'd say, okay, we can get better at sorting. We definitely could. We could do 7 different bins and we could throw the right plastic in the right bin and everything would be awesome. But that brings me to challenge number 7. It's us. I know that one is a hard pill to swallow. You might think it can't be me or Pig throwing things away, but it kind of is. A lot of us try really hard to recycle the right things, to throw it in the right bin, but the reality is that consumers and people, we're not perfect. And that list could go on and on about all the different ways or all the different stuff that we throw into our bins that make it really difficult to recycle, clean, and sort all these pieces out. As we've seen now, recycling isn't just a simple fix. It takes many people working on this. What we really need is a systems change, not an individual change. However, I do think individuals will play a large part. I think you and I could make a huge change. Never doubt that a small amount of people can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. And this is what gives me hope. Let's get back to the money thing for just one more second, because I think it's really important to understand that all of these small players that are gonna come in and help make recycling happen, they have to spend a lot of money to flip that equation and make it profitable. Basically, in this game, the market doesn't exist yet. The customers don't quite exist yet. We have to make the market. Right now, we are making it. Even you just watching this very video is making the market. More and more companies, brands, and people will start to use recycled plastic, and that'll make things cheaper and easier. I know I focused a lot on the challenges, but are there any solutions? Is it possible to make recycled plastic cheaper? I'm going to cover that in the next video, so stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoyed this video on why is recycling so hard. Until next time, help us grow, subscribe, comment, and let us know what you think. Thank you all so much, and until next time.